I declare open this congregation of the University of Sussex. I'm delighted to welcome you formally to this graduation ceremony. The warmest of welcomes to our honoured guests, our distinguished faculty members, and to those of the professional services here at Sussex. But the warmest of welcomes are reserved for you, our graduands, and your families and friends who join you here today. And to those who couldn't make it in person, and may be watching this via live video stream around the world. To you, I say, bonjour, guten Tag, willkommen, como stai, hola, dobry den, привет, marhaba, salam alaikum, jambo, shalom, namaskar, ni hao, konnichiwa, oi, hey, hi, howdy, and hello. A massive thank you to the ITS technical team for making this live stream possible. It remains a profound honor for us that you chose Sussex as your place of study, and that, as I've just illustrated, the graduands from all over the world will be receiving their degrees at these ceremonies. We're rightly proud of our tradition of embracing all faiths, cultures, and opinions, thus recognizing that global interdependence is not only an inevitability in all our futures, but indeed that future is already here. To our foreign students, I'd like to say thank you for making us a truly global university. In fact, according to the Times Higher Education, one of the 50 most international universities in the world. In fact, we will be holding a graduation ceremony in Shanghai next year, and all eligible graduates, including those at these ceremonies, will be able to attend. I also know how hard it can be to travel so far at such expense and to try and get to grips with a different culture, language, and sometimes a different set of values and modes of behavior. To overcome those hurdles, unfamiliarity and homesickness, to remain focused and resolute. All of you have contributed to Sussex being in the top 20 of universities in Britain, and we are the only university in Britain to record a year-on-year increase in new undergraduates in the past 9 years. Development studies are #1 in the world league tables. At the January ceremonies, the winter ceremonies, we have a larger contingent of students graduating for the second or even third time, which even more than usual makes me the thickest person in the room. It's fine, I'm used to it now, I get the same thing at home. In fact, I'm not a shining example of academic prowess myself. I struggled through my education and my degree, so I hope I have a little empathy with what some of you may have gone through. In fact, one of my dad's friends, when I said that I wanted to study for a degree, his response was, "Why do you want to go to university, eh? You want to waste your time, grow your hair long, and listen to Mozart?" I said, yes, perhaps if I was thinking of going to university in the 18th century, but I persevered. I know that some of you would have had to contend with your own personal difficulties to get to this day, struggling to balance your studies with home life, in some cases whilst raising children, being carers, experiencing loss and sickness, trying to survive on overdrafts, loans, or family help. But here you are. Seems you persevered too. Getting a degree is not a foregone conclusion. It requires, as you well know, effort, focus, and sacrifice. And not just your own. Your family and friends may well have had to make sacrifices to get you to this moment, and at some expense to be with us here today. So students and lecturers, a round of applause for the families and friends. So well done, you lot. So for many of you today will mark the end of your academic adventures. The odyssey that began with those first faltering steps at nursery or kindergarten and culminates here after just a short walk across this stage. A name will be read out, hopefully approximating to yours. And you will take the mere 20 or so steps across this stage, terrified that you're going to lose your hat, wondering whether the heels were such a good idea after all, wondering whether your flies are open, and praying that you don't trip over your gown and end up in the lap of someone in the front row. And what an array of laps we have arranged for you today. It's like Star Wars. The faculty awakens. May the coursework be with you. But today is your moment, a moment to reflect on all the efforts that have brought you your just rewards, but mainly a celebration of your great achievement. And finally, on a technical note, I know many of you have been up here before, but I'm minded to say it again. You haven't actually got your degrees yet. And you getting one may just depend on how much love you show me when you come up here. I don't care whether this is your first degree or your 10th, you got a third or you got a doctorate. No love for the Chancellor, no degree. So this is your day, so please express how you feel, your joy when you come across this stage in any way that you want, within the bounds of legality and taste. Family and friends, this is a perfect opportunity for you to embarrass your loved ones as they come up here. They did it enough times to you. This is just payback time. So feel free to whoop, applaud, make some noise, and let them know where you are. Also, occasionally at these events, there will be people here today who don't have family or friends joining them, in which case I'll be your family or friend for the day. It's just for today, okay? I don't want to get into exchanging presents or looking after your cat or you turning up at my house expecting to sleep or something, okay? Just for today, no one here is alone. I call upon the Vice-Chancellor to address the congregation.
Chancellor, Madam Mayor, Star Wars faculty, graduands, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Thought you were supposed to warm them up, Chancellor. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you. It's a real pleasure for me to add my welcome to you all to this graduation ceremony. Graduation is one of the highlights of the academic year and a time when we on stage and family and friends can truly celebrate your success. Although graduation has its formal aspects, and you will see that we have made a bit of an effort and dressed up for the occasion, as the Chancellor has indicated, it's also a time to relax and have fun. You can let the emotions flow and pretty much do whatever you like, as he said, within the bounds of legality. So for a special day, we're in a special place, the Brighton Dome. This historic building, conceived by King George IV, started life as the Royal Stables and Riding House. It's been a hospital and an operating theatre during 2 world wars, hosted the Eurovision Song Contest in 1974, which was won by ABBA with their song Waterloo, well done. And David Bowie, who sadly died just over a couple of weeks ago, came to the Dome as Ziggy Stardust in 1972 and 1973. It's given a platform to many other famous visitors, including one of our former Prime Ministers, Winston Churchill. Amongst our graduates here today, I'm sure there are many who will also go on to do even greater things than previous visitors to this space. Sussex has always celebrated the diversity of its students and staff. During the graduation ceremonies this week, we will have met students from 107 different countries with ages ranging from 21 to 73. Education is for everyone at any age. There were just 52 students when Sussex opened in 1961. Now we have over 15,000. Over these 2 days, we will have seen more than 800 graduates walking across this stage, supported by more than 1,000 family members and friends. This is a pivotal moment in many of your lives, and I hope you will leave today with very special memories and all that you have achieved. I want to spend a few moments talking to you about 4 aspects of Sussex life and why I know our graduating students will go on to do great things. Firstly, we can be absolutely certain that our graduates have excellent prospects, are highly employable, and have a rounded view of life. We know that leaving university and finding a job can be a challenging time for graduates. However, we're extremely pleased that Sussex is ranked amongst the top 10 of UK universities for graduate prospects. A recent study has found that 96% of Sussex graduates are in work or further study within 6 months of graduating. This suggests that not only do we attract outstanding students at the start, but that we provide an experience which gives a good start to your working lives. We do go that extra mile to help students have a fulfilling time at university. We believe that experiences outside the main area of study, including gaining competence in 1 or more modern foreign languages, are important for the broader personal development that employers are seeking. Our internship program is developing well, and we keep adding to this year on year, with our latest being a fully supported placement scheme in China. I hope that some of you have taken up the opportunity to complete an internship, whether it's here in the UK or abroad. The university also offers an outstanding range of master's scholarships for those that are thinking of postgraduate studies. This is really good for our graduates wishing to continue in further study at a time when we know that financial pressures are high. Interdisciplinarity, that is teaching and research that crosses standard disciplinary boundaries, was one of the founding principles of Sussex back in the 60s. This broad-ranging and rounded view of life is very much part of the Sussex tradition. we pride ourselves on the way in which we have built many interdisciplinary centres of expertise, whether it's in climate change, global health, neuroscience, or indeed in many others. In addition, we encourage our students to take courses which combine their core subject with other, often unrelated subjects. Our focus is an holistic one. For our students, we hope this ethos of thinking broadly and having a rounded view of life stays with you and benefits you in your life and careers ahead. Secondly, we should always remember that Sussex students and staff have a history of changing things for the better. Sussex has an outstanding reputation for world-leading research, and many of you here today have contributed to this. We are making a difference to people's lives, whether this is in policy in developing countries or digitizing history. 96% of our research is ranked as world-leading. It's increasingly important for us to be able to show that our research has impact beyond academia by showing that we are making a real difference to people's lives and to society in general. Thirdly, I am proud of our international perspective. It makes the Sussex experience special. We have had an international outlook since the university started in the 1960s. Currently, around 25% of our students are from overseas, and teaching and research staff come to us from more than 120 different countries. All of you have helped create this diverse global community on campus, which I hope has added positively to your experience at Sussex. Sussex has a reputation for being a place where people from all over the world can make friends easily. Last year, the university teamed up with the Students' Union to host One World Week, a celebration of international diversity and a way to promote understanding of global issues. It was such a success that we've committed to making it an annual event. We've created partnerships with some distinguished institutions across the world, including universities in North America, Europe, Asia, and Africa. These relationships have created new research collaborations, new opportunities for student exchange, and joint teaching programs. And finally, I would say that although we think globally, we also act locally, and our village-like campus has created a very special community at the university. The Sussex campus and community is bigger than many small towns in the UK, with its population of more than 17,000 people. The university contributes more than £500 million each year to the Brighton and Hove economy, and this will continue to increase as the university grows. This is not just because the university is the second biggest employer in the region, but because of you, our students, who live, work, and socialise in the area. But it's the personal contribution that our students make that I'm most proud of. I know that many of you do volunteer work in the local community. In fact, you do far more than the average citizen. Some of you tutor school children, particularly the disadvantaged. Some support the homeless, and others of you are just good neighbours or work hard in part-time jobs. For the family and friends that are here with you, I know they will be extremely proud to share this moment. I want to give special thanks to all of those important people who have supported you during your years of study. As you look back on your time at Sussex and university life, I hope you will have many fond memories and a real sense of what you can achieve in this world. Education is no longer a privilege for the very few. It has become a fundamental right for the many, and I hope soon for all. It can help inspire intellectual curiosity and provide us with the foundation to achieve great things at work, at home, for our communities and society in general. It allows us to consider big issues from different perspectives and to challenge them. It introduces us to new concepts, new people, and new ways of thinking. What is critical for us is to listen to what our students say about their time at university. So we've put together a short film in which you, our students, reflect on their Sussex experience, consider the future, and send a farewell message to you.
Overwhelmed and excited.
Very apprehensive, I think, but very excited.
Full of enthusiasm.
Curious.
I was really amazed.
And the first lecture, it was amazing.
Hungover. Tired.
Full of excitement and adventures.
I was starting to feel at home. Reassured, I think, mainly by people around me.
Tendency because it's full of maths people.
Most likely Family Bar.
Probably the co-op.
All the green space outside.
Every single bit of it.
More fun than I expected.
Very solid.
Challenging.
Fulfilling. Thorough.
Superb.
Hands-on.
Supportive.
One of a kind.
The staff always have time for you.
I was encouraged by the staff.
And to expand my knowledge.
Career progression and career development.
Then to specialize.
It was the teaching at Global Studies that made me want to stay on.
Not to limit myself.
Be more self-confident.
Well, just do everything you can today and don't leave it for tomorrow.
No one's going to motivate you other than you.
You can achieve anything you aim for.
It made me more independent.
It laid foundation for my future research.
They have actually given me the platform to go into research.
Just really building up my confidence. Don't be afraid.
To be much more focused.
Be more organized.
Read more.
Never feel scared to approach faculty members.
I think it's finally going to be at the end, so I'm going to be quite sad about it.
Not really ready to say goodbye.
Proud.
Proud to be the smartest dressed I've ever been whilst at Sussex.
Something that cannot be expressed in words.
I'm hoping to pursue a career in social justice.
I'm doing a research placement for a few months.
And to pursue my PhD.
I don't know, but I'm looking forward to it.
Maybe marriage.
Always been poor.
Student landlords.
Probably the pressure of exams.
The lonely hours in the library.
No, I'm going to miss everything.
Being chair rep of life sciences.
Tying in Holy 2015 with One World Week.
Specializing in feminist Marxism.
My biggest success would be just finishing my studies.
Graduation.
Graduation.
Well done!
Congratulations to all those graduating in the 2016 winter graduation.
Well done, everyone. I'm so proud of you all.
It was lovely to meet you all and I hope we stay in contact.
It's sad to say goodbye, but congratulations on what we've achieved.
Well done, guys. We did it.
And my personal thanks to the Communications Directorate who put that film together with our students. Thank you very much. Now, as you continue to make your way in the world and carve out your path, I hope that Sussex will always be part of your consciousness. And just as Sussex stands for authentic and spirited thinking, I hope that you will take some of this philosophy and become successful in whichever way you choose. Please remember that you will always be part of the Sussex family. You will, of course, be joining an illustrious group of alumni, many of whom have made major contribution to the worlds of politics, government, academia, the creative industries, business, international development, and so on. You name it, and you will find Sussex graduates worldwide, changing lives and making an impact. Our alumni relations teams will make sure that we stay in contact wherever you might be in the future. At the founding of the university, our first Vice-Chancellor, John Fulton, said that education in Sussex was making the future. This is an ambition which we still hold close to our hearts and encourage you to do the same. Make the future for yourselves and your family. Help make the future for our world. Now is the time to be confident, to be brave, and to be open to the endless possibilities that life has to offer. I wish all of you every good fortune for your chosen futures and hope that your experience at Sussex has gone some way to prepare you for the next stage of your life. My very best wishes to you all. And remember, if you're in Shanghai in 2017, please join us again for a graduation ceremony. Thank you. I call upon the head of the School of Education and Social Work, Professor Brian Hudson.
Chancellor, I will now present to you for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Childhood and Youth, Theory and Practice, Amelia Kemp. For Social Care, Carolyn Endemira. For Social Work, Ruth Bowler. And Kate Rimmer. For the Postgraduate Certificate in Effective Practice, Jacqueline Mitten. For Learning and Teaching in Higher Education, Julian King. For Practice Education, Zurat Lichui. For the Postgraduate Certificate in Education in Secondary English, Alice Watts. For the degree of Master of Arts in Childhood and Youth Studies, also awarded the Barry Thorne Prize for Best Overall Academic Achievement, Claire Durant. Congratulations, well done. Sharon Jameson. Also awarded the Cathy Irwin Prize for work with the greatest impact on practice, Candice Kelsey Archbold. Well done. Kerry Rui. And Rachel Simpson. For Education, Chloe Goodyear. For Education Studies, Lucy Harknett. Faye Francis Lofty. and Penny Longman. For educational research and evaluation, Sally Rogers. For international education and development, and also awarded the Centre for International Education Prize for the best all-round performance on the MA IED, Alice Aldunici. Congratulations. Jinhee Kim. Yunina Mitsumori. Also awarded the Luke Akakuri Prize for the best dissertation on the MA IED, Sefut Shan. Well done. For social work, Amy Stringer. For the degree of Master of Education, Lauren Black-Fenner. Rebecca Mika. Ruth O'Shea. Emily Sadler. And Laura Turner. Chancellor, I will now present to you for the degree of Doctor of Education for the thesis. Student participation in decision-making in senior high schools in Ghana. Dorothy Abra-Glover. Well done. Congratulations. For the thesis, Young Women's Engagement with Sport in Lusaka Secondary School, Zambia, Elea Musangea. Congratulations. For the thesis, a case study of the deployment of teaching assistants in secondary schools to support learning. Edwina Slater. Chancellor, I will now present to you for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy for the thesis, Crick Crack, Exploring the Potential of Creative Writing for Opening Dialogic Space and Increasing Personal Freedom. Cindy Gordon. Congratulations. Chancellor, this concludes the list of graduands from the School of Education and Social Work.
I call upon Mario Novelli, Professor of the Political Economy of Education, to present Dr. Margaret Sinclair.
Chancellor, it's an honour and a privilege to be able to say a few words about Margaret Sinclair, a researcher and educator, an international public servant, a children's rights campaigner, and a tireless advocate for the right to education for children in conflict contexts. Margaret Sinclair is quite simply a pioneer in the humanitarian field of delivering education in conflict-affected contexts. Today, as we sit here in the comfort of this beautiful venue, there are 58 million children in the world who have no access to schooling. 36% of those children live in conflict contexts. Margaret Sinclair has dedicated much of the more than 5 decades of her working life to addressing this issue, trying to ensure that children and young people get access to quality education in some of the most complex and conflictual contexts in the world. Through those decades, she has been a field practitioner, setting up programming and development projects, has written several books and monographs on issues related to education and conflict, and been an absolutely central character in the creation of a new field of research and practice, often known as education in emergencies and conflict. After studying first a degree and PhD in science in the 1960s at the University of Oxford, she began working as an education planner in Sri Lanka and Pakistan. In the mid-70s, she also spent 2 years as a researcher in IDS working on education-related issues. In the 1980s, she joined the UN High Commission for Refugees, where she led education programs for Afghan refugees in northern Pakistan. She later headed UNHCR's Refugee Education Unit in Geneva. After UN regulations forced her to retire at 60, she continued to serve as an education and emergencies consultant with UNESCO and other organizations. In 2000, she led the drafting of UNESCO's thematic study on education in situations of emergency and crisis for the World Education Forum, helping to create the Interagency Network for Education in Emergencies, which has become one of the central actors in coordinating and supporting education in conflict-affected contexts. In 2009, she moved to Qatar, where she helped develop the Protect Education in Insecurity and Conflict Peace program within the Education Above All Foundation, and she currently leads its education work. Today, she remains professionally active and engaged despite being well into her 70s, and continues to push the limits of her chosen field in ways that are familiar to all of us who know her, through intellectual rigor, deep-rooted commitment, an astonishing work ethic, a fearless determination, and a set of skills that she marshals shrewdly and purposefully, always with a view to achieving some objective that she sees more clearly than anyone else. These skills of persuasion, argument, cajolery, compromise, doggedness, and many more are employed with such charm that even in defeat, you end up warming to her. She endures, and new generations of researchers and practitioners have drawn upon her work and her example. More than anyone, she has defined the field of education and conflict, which she has made her own, and she continues to make important contributions to its development. She is a remarkable woman, and her achievements are outstanding. In last year's summer graduation, the Chancellor talked about how, even in the darkest moments of history, in the midst of wars and great challenges, we should never lose hope, because there are always people trying to make the world a better place. The helpers, the Chancellor called them. Well, Margaret Sinclair is one such helper, and she has spent much of her life working quietly behind the scenes, trying to make the world a better place in some of its most difficult places. Today, I'm happy that this is being recognized, not just for her, but for all of us who believe that a better and fairer and more socially just world is possible. Congratulations. Chancellor, I present to you for the degree of Doctor of the University, honoris causa, Dr. Margaret Sinclair.
By the authority of the Senate and the Council of the University, it gives me great pleasure to confer upon you the degree Doctor of the University, honoris causa. Many congratulations. Please.
Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, faculty, organizing staff, ladies and gentlemen, and my 3-year-old grandson, it gives me immense pleasure to be here today, receiving this great honor from the university. And it is a great pleasure also to address the new graduates gathered here. This is the first day of the rest of your lives, the first of many as a graduate. What can I say in 5 minutes that will be of interest to you? I'm allowed 5 minutes. As an educator, I spend a lot of time arguing that stories are more interesting than a list of facts. So I will tell just a little bit of a story, perhaps about me, something about how I came to be here today, talking about education in emergencies, after receiving my original degrees a long time ago, and thank you, Mario, for explaining just how long ago it was. Some of the people have studied maths. Alongside fellow students, I originally took my degree alongside fellow students of science. I can trace this transition back to the influence of the media. Since some of you may work in media, or teach media studies, or teach English, which includes media studies, you may be interested in the subject of the media. So how did the media influence me? Well, my sixth form teachers of English and general studies asked us to read the Observer newspaper. It was a state school, and we didn't all read at home such high-class newspapers. And every week, they quizzed us on the minutest details of things that were in the Observer newspaper. Much was written in those days in the press about famine. Especially moving were the reviews of the book Blossoms in the Dust, which I therefore read. It was an account of Indian women, traditional weavers, who on many days had no food for their children and families. This and numerous articles about developing countries, which was then, so long ago, a new concept. It drove me from biochemistry to the social sciences to try to right some of the wrongs of what was then called world poverty. I then found out that moving to the social sciences was a great idea. Instead of spending long hours all day in the laboratory and every evening in the library, I could sit at a desk all day or in an armchair, drink coffee and be creative, be paid just to design questionnaires and talk to people. Unbelievable, incredible. At my university, where I studied chemistry, every single moment of the day, when you were not in lectures, you had to be in the laboratory 5 days a week, 9 till 5. Before making the decision to give up science, and in response to endless reports about kwashiorkor and marasmus, which are 2 forms of malnutrition, I had asked a medical professor from the West Indies about, shall I study the biochemistry of malnutrition? He said there was no point. Malnourished children were cured in his hospital, but became malnourished again once back in the community. The cure needed to be in society. In other words, I could quit the lab, take up the social sciences, and eventually education planning. Fast forward to 2015. Last year saw a media-enhanced drum roll to bomb the recently minted Islamic State because of its often self-publicized atrocities. In fact, there's lots of atrocities in the world which are not reported. People working in education and emergencies are well aware and frustrated that many such situations are not reported. But because of international interest and their own efforts, the activities of Islamic State are well reported. I'm not saying that some strategic targets should not be destroyed to control IS, but we need deeper analysis in the media and in academia. IS and Boko Haram and such entities are bad, but if they are eliminated, they will be replaced by more of the same. The fundamentals are economic, social, ethnic, and religious divisions. Some of them are millennium old, like the Sunni-Shia split in Iraq. This leads to the topic of my own humble efforts in the sphere of education for refugees and others in difficult circumstances. This included efforts to introduce life skills for peace in refugee camps in Kenya, in schools and community in the camps. It was successful, but funds ran out after a few years. It's not a priority. Just to mention one example of the success, in Kakuma camp in Kenya, there are a lot of people from Dinka and Nuer communities. And when there's fighting in South Sudan, then there's tensions between those communities in the camps. So on one such occasion, the elders asked the youth to go and fight each other. And they went outside the camp to the hill and started to get ready to fight. And they saw people on the other side who had studied peace education with them in the camp. And on both sides, they said, we're peace educators, we don't want to fight. And they started to walk away, and there was no fighting that day. This is the potential of peace education, where you have the resources. But it does take some resources to shift the system towards something a little bit new. After I retired, still tilting at windmills, I have produced 3 books, all called Learning to Live Together, and focused on countries at risk of conflict. These 3 volumes urge educators to systematically address the societal divisions that cause conflict, and to remind students from kindergarten to secondary that we are all human beings and should solve our problems without violence by learning to live together. This has some other meanings, but learning to live together is UN jargon, That means empathy for others, respect for diversity, and skills for conflict resolution and reconciliation. If schools omit learning to live together and just focus on literacy and numeracy or school subjects of the traditional kind, perhaps their literacy and their knowledge will serve to help them read the instructions for their weapons or to make better ones. Fast forward to January 2016. I am here today essentially to represent not myself, but the field known as education in emergencies. We have a global network of nearly 12,000 education in emergencies practitioners and researchers called the Interagency Network for Education in Emergencies. Among other things, this network advocates with donors for more funding for education in crisis situations. Shockingly, far less than 1% of industrialized countries' national income goes to development and humanitarian aid, I think you know, and only 2% of humanitarian aid goes to education, though probably half of refugees and people affected by conflict are actually children. But education is a top priority everywhere for students displaced or affected by conflict or disaster. And they even more want to reinstate school examinations, can you believe it? Which is so difficult, for example, in a refugee camp situation. A lot of formalities that make it very difficult to get a certificate, to get the government of a host country to allow the award of education certificates to refugee students. At this young age, I'm fortunate to be having a new job with a new donor, the Education Above All Foundation based in Qatar. The foundation is sponsoring places in school for millions of underprivileged out-of-school children living in low-income, fragile, and post-conflict states. We have with us today Mary Pigosi, who is leading, I think, Education in Emergencies in this corner. She's leading the effort to get 10 million out-of-school children in the worst and most remote and difficult situations in the world into school. The foundation is also advocating for the protection of education from attack, which is a key goal of its founder, Sheikh Moza. And we have with us one of the scholars on the subject of attacks on education, Dr. Mark Richmond. In recent times, the Education Above All Foundation and UNESCO's International Institute of Educational Planning, under the inspiration of my colleague Lindsay Bird, who is also here with us today, and together with the broad interagency network for education in emergencies, we have advocated for conflict-sensitive education in countries at risk of conflict or its recurrence. Conflict-sensitive education means trying to reduce people's grievances about difficulty in access to education or the content of education that help fuel conflict, because education is often a driver of conflict. So we would try to ameliorate the discrepancies and insert positive content about learning to live together. So, though I'm well into my 70s, I'm very happy pursuing learning to live together again. And hopefully, book number 4, Learning to Live Together. My dream is for every child to learn the skills of empathy, cooperation, conflict resolution, and reconciliation for their personal lives, through to the choices they make at work and as local, global, national, and global citizens. Conflict resolution is very easy in principle, though so difficult in practice. Acknowledge the past, that there were different sets of experiences and viewpoints on both sides, but then turn around and look constructively to the future with win-win decisions that make life a bit better for all concerned. Getting this into the school curriculum is often very, very difficult. And getting it into national exams, so that people take it seriously, rather than the trying to just improve their marks in math, science, etc., is very hard. And we are honored to have here with us today the leaders of curriculum centers in Uganda and Kenya who are trying to do just this, to use the education system to promote social cohesion. Finally, in your own work, please find ways to integrate negotiation and conflict resolution skills. If you're a teacher, please get a 2-step, 5-step, or 10-step model of conflict resolution into social studies, drama, and communications classes. And perhaps we should all post one item of learning to live together decency per day into those horrible chains of blog comments on the news sites. And we should encourage students to practice this and perhaps submit selected of their comments in a portfolio to give this weight. Honourable Chancellor, you will agree that those blog entries which combine common sense decency, creativity, and wit will be the most effective. These blogs are so fascinating. You keep reading them, but then it's all horrid stuff. And just 1 or 2 people put something really decent. So it's the task for the new generation to improve the balance. So my thanks again to members of the Education in Emergency community represented here today, to Mario Novelli, leading the work Education and Conflict in the University of Sussex, to Julius Juan and Grace Baguma from Kenya and Uganda, to Mary Joy Pigosi, Mark Richmond, Jean Bernard, Zuki Kapinska, Lindsay Bird, and I hope I haven't forgotten somebody, but the Education in Emergency community is well represented here today, and we thank you for recognizing our work. My thanks to the Center for International Education for organizing an international seminar this week that focused on conflict-sensitive education and peace building. My thanks again to you, Mr. Chancellor, and to the university for recognizing my humble efforts, and my best wishes to you all.
I call upon the head of the School of English, Professor Tom Healy.
Chancellor, I will now present to you for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in English, Christina Sangeris. For the degree of Master of Arts in Applied Linguistics, Hannah Banks. Nathaniel Forrester. Andrew Moore. Carlin Rubos. Mohammed Adnan Sattar. For Creative and Critical Writing, Antonia Mary Wiles Chitty. Samuel Alexander Gale. May Los Asos. Amelia Roberts. Also jointly awarded the Alon White Memorial Prize for the Best English Dissertation mark, Emily Watkins. For critical theory, Harriet Reed. For English language teaching, Henrik Andersen. Susan Reeve Folks. Christopher John Stocking. Michaela Teixeira. For Literature and Culture 1700 to 1900, Gabriella Feacham. Also jointly awarded the Alon White Memorial Prize for the Best English Dissertation mark, Georgina Mind. Julianne Poole. Oh, it's Julie.
We'll do it again.
Julianne Poole.
I'll act surprised.
Right. Sorry. Deborah Rees. Emily Jessica Turner. Jennifer Wallace. For Literature, Film and Visual Culture, April Adams. For Modern and Contemporary Literature, Culture and Thought, Grace Cowton. Sophie Goodman. Kathleen Johnston. Also jointly awarded the Alon White Memorial Prize for the Best English Dissertation mark, Sophia Keir Byfield. Anita Lattic. Chloe Oram. Emmy Ostlund. Thomas Powell. Justin Seeley. Eleanor Whitcroft. For sexual dissidence, Jesse Ashman. Jacob Engelberg. Tara Godfrey. Leon Joe Killen. Chancellor, I will now present to you for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy for the thesis Passionate Destruction, Passionate Creation, Art and Anarchy and in the work of Dennis Cooper, Dermot Hester. For the thesis, Luminal Theory and Excavation of Narrative and the Dead Girl Scrolls, Unearthed Apocalyptic Fictions, Laura Joyce. For the thesis, The Prophetic Wordsworth, Anxiety and Self-Fashioning, Yun Pei. Chancellor, this concludes the lists of graduates from the School of English.
I call upon the head of the School of History, Art History and Philosophy, Professor Clive Webb.
Chancellor, I will now present to you for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in American Studies and History, Lillian Fish. For History, Thomas Buggs. For the degree of Master of Arts in Art History, Naomi Dorr. Also jointly awarded the certificate for the highest overall mark in the MA in Art History, Rebecca Johnson. Mark Malachek. Angela Christine Morris. Beth Louise Richards. Leah Eileen Romaniello Boyst. Joseph Asana. Also jointly awarded the certificate for the highest overall mark in the MA in Art History, Stephen Weller. everyone. Emma Whale. Shamufan Jang. For art history and museum curating, Ivagoria Dapala. Esme Hawes. Rachel Neal. Also awarded the certificate for the highest overall mark in the MA in Art History and Museum Curating, Eleanor Porter. Jen Tian. Shaolin Wu. For art history and museum curating with photography, Philippa Bojar. Emily Marco. Nicholas Nazir. Aoife Joseph Rowe. Jachi Yu. For contemporary history, Angelica Arroyo. Nuris Astudillo. Claire Chevalier Nash. Hannah Cook. Josie Lauren Cridland. Michelle Cruikshank. Lauren Farmer. Amy Gower. Jimmy Mosley. Also awarded the Beryl Williams Prize for the Best MA History Dissertation, Eleanor Murray. Well done, Eleanor. Scott Partridge. David Matthew Perron. Edward Robinson. Elisa Roborn. Angelo Scanapiecco. Katarzyna Tomasowicz. Catherine Wall. Richard Willis. For intellectual history, Manmeet Chopra. Anne Etheridge. Christine Linda Mary Platz. Christian Ritter. For literature and philosophy, Manina Bodeka. Eloise Cameron Smith. Kieran Hughes. For philosophy, Kevan Chagini. Elizabeth Howe. Autumn Sharkey. Harry Tallboys. For social and political thought, Ilhan Ona Acharoglu. Neil Harris. David Jonathan Hunsaker. Rory Scowthorne. Chancellor, I will now present to you for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy for the thesis, Ordinary Men in Another World, British Other Ranks in Captivity in Asia during the Second World War, David Boyne. For the thesis, British Attitudes to the Aerial Bombardment of German Cities During the Second World War, Paul Weir. Well done. Chancellor, this concludes the list of graduates from the School of History, Art History and Philosophy.
Chancellor, I present to you graduates who were unable to graduate with their schools of study. The degree of Master of Science in Corporate and Financial Risk Management, Yan Huang. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, Consumer Sexualities, Women and Sex Shopping. Congratulations. Oh, Chancellor, I didn't give the name. She's got to come back. She's got to come back. I'm sorry, I got rather distracted by the sight. And the way she was looking at me, actually. Apologies, let's go serious. Chancellor, for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, Consumer Sexualities, Women and Sex Shopping, Rachel Wood. Congratulations. We're doing it again. Well, I'm sorry about that. That was terrible. Chancellor, this is the moment when you can just reflect quietly on your own and determine whether you think you've had sufficient love during this ceremony.
Yes, definitely. Are you kidding? They were fantastic.
Chancellor, you have now met all the graduates being presented to you at this ceremony, and the moment has come for the formal conferral of degrees of the University of Sussex. I therefore ask you to confer their degrees on those presented to you and to the other graduates who have indicated their wish to graduate in absentia at this ceremony.
I formally confer degrees on all those just referred to by the Vice-Chancellor. Congratulations. Well done. Well, that was pretty good for me. How was it for you? Congratulations, everyone. Thank you very much. Congratulations to Dr. Sinclair. Thank you for your words as well. I think that some of what I'm going to say echoes in a less intelligent way the words that you've already used. And that's the way it should be, I feel. So congratulations. Well done, family and friends, by the way. Very good. Some of you were truly embarrassing. So respect for that. So students, as your time here at Sussex draws to a close, we hope that you will remain connected to us as part of the growing extended Sussex family as alumni. And aside from keeping in touch, you could act as a vital resource for future graduates of the university. Think of them as your younger brothers and sisters needing some guidance. Please be sure to take 5 minutes after the ceremony to visit the alumni stand. There are mugs with sweets there waiting for you. Oh, way! That's right. It all got a bit Hansel and Gretel there for a second, didn't it? There are those present today that have been associated with your success that look upon these days with huge fondness as well. So please show your appreciation for your teachers, tutors, and staff. Whether your next step is gainful employment, the search for it, further academic study, or simply some time out, I wish you the very best. There's just a few thoughts I have to give to close the ceremony. I'm supposed to impart a bit of wisdom or insight. I know that I have met some of you before up here, and so you will know that I'm not wise at all. Wisdom is a gift that I'm yet to receive. And some of these things you may have heard before. Some of them you might have forgotten. I'm probably hoping that you have forgotten them because you're going to hear them again. But here are some thoughts. I do feel, and I have felt for some time, that we're increasingly living in a quantitative world where everything seems to be distilled down to a number. In everyday life, how was the film? Well, I'd give it 2 stars. How was your meal? 6 out of 10. How's your day going? I'm feeling I'm operating at about 60%. And, numbers are obviously used very heavily to define success as well. She earns $125,000 a year. Wow, she's doing well. They've just bought a property, 12 million. Oh, they're doing all right, aren't they? Et cetera, you know what I mean. And I get it, and we all get it. Numbers are a great comparison tool. The structures within it we understand. And it's quick. And increasingly, we feel we don't have to qualify it. Beyond that. And that's my problem. There's absolutely no detail. And so it means there's nothing really to discuss. Part of functioning as a human being is the ability to communicate, to understand, to sympathize, to empathize, to connect. We can understand each other better through detail and through discussion. One of the things I absolutely love about graduation ceremonies, they haven't got boring for me, they haven't got tired for me or anything like that. It's because I get to meet you. We could easily do this remotely. I could Skype in a kind of well done everyone, you got your degree. But I get to meet you, we get to have contact. That's real, and I love that. So that, getting that extra little bit more detail makes all the difference. Those same kind of very mundane questions that I had before, exchanges I had before. How was the film? Script was great, performance is solid, special effects weren't fantastic. I'd give it 2 stars out of 3. That's a bit different. How was your meal? Well, starters were okay. Not much of a range of main courses, but they were good. The desserts were excellent, but it was a bit drafty. 6 out of 10. Bit different again, just a tiny bit of detail. She earns $125,000 a year. Wow, how? She cleans toilets with her tongue. Oh, that changes the picture a little bit. They've just bought a property, 12 million. Wow, how? They robbed a bank. Oh, that's not what I was expecting. So my point is, and it's something that I'm sure you're already good at, given what you study, but talk to people, talk to each other, spend the extra minute finding out the detail, and therefore be better informed and form your own opinions. As I've realized from Twitter, simply having an opinion does not make you intelligent. It makes you opinionated. Now, I read somewhere that the mark of true intelligence was to hold 2 contradictory arguments in your head at the same time. And I increasingly believe that. I think that, empathy is at the heart of that. And I've been lucky enough to meet a lot of my heroes, enormously talented people who've won Oscars and Grammys and Nobel Prizes and all that kind of stuff. And I admired all of them for their achievements, but I was only really inspired by the ones that had curiosity, humor, a work ethic, and above all, compassion. And I increasingly think that the true mark of intelligence is emotional intelligence. And something like compassion, you can't put a number on that. And if you do, you sound like an idiot. It's, how are your kids? 7 out of 10, 4 out of 10, 9 out of 10. It doesn't make any sense. Your partner seems really nice. I give her 3 stars. Martin Luther King said that darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. You can respect someone for having an opinion without having any respect for that opinion. Horace Mann, who was a 19th century American politician and educational reformer, he said, "Do not think of knocking out another person's brains because he differs in opinion from you. It would be as rational to knock yourself on the head because you differ from yourself 10 years ago." Something that I think, honoris causa, I think is a good example of is the Mahatma Gandhi quote, which is, "Be the change you want to see in the world." You want the world to be a more compassionate place? Be more compassionate yourself. You want it to be a more kind, forgiving place? Be more kind and forgiving yourself. And also, look forwards the whole time. Alexander Graham Bell said, when one door closes, another door opens. But we so often look long and so regretfully upon the closed door that we do not see the ones that open for us. Also, it's really useful to know the difference between opinion and fact. I've written a few down, so just so, you know, as examples. Right. Blueberries are the best berries. Opinion. Well, that's the way I feel. The Beatles are better than One Direction. That's a fact. Kale tastes horrible, but it's good for you. That's a fact. David Bowie was a genius. Ooh, that's a kind of, yeah, that's probably an opinion. Donald Trump is a total, and I can't read what I've written there, but that's a fact. Please don't be afraid of making mistakes. I read a thing recently which I thought was great, which was a smart man makes a mistake and learns from it and never makes that mistake again. But a wise man finds a smart man and learns from him how to avoid making the mistake altogether. When we were talking earlier about conflict resolution, I kind of thought about, you know, because you said it can happen in your own life. You can start those examples at home. And I thought, how do we do it at home? And I thought, oh, yeah, I just do what my wife tells me. Although she thinks I'm doing what she told me. Oh, she'll know that now, so that's not going to work anymore. Embrace change. It's going to happen whether you like it or not. A step into the unknown doesn't necessarily need to be a step into a black hole. It could be a step into the realms of possibilities. You have no idea what the future is going to bring to you. And I embraced unpredictability when I started working in the profession that I did when I was 33, and became an actor and a writer. But also, when I think about, you know, moments in my life, I'm sure you're aware of this. Maybe family, friends, you may not be, but Sussex was my first choice when I applied to university many years ago. It was my first choice, and I didn't get in. Apparently, my grades weren't good enough, and so I took my business elsewhere and scraped through my degree, worked in jobs in industries I wasn't happy in, changed careers, and I waited till all those who had prevented me from getting in had either retired, had been deported, were in prison, or had just become plain dead, and I got back in as Chancellor. So, ha, 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 ha. My point is, it's unpredictable, and it can lead to amazing, amazing things. And sometimes the solution to a problem is not right in front of you because it's not meant to be. There's a story from a film which I love that I tell at graduation. A story about two mice that fell into a bowl of cream and couldn't get out. And one mouse decided they'll never get out. It's just impossible. It's too high. Gave up and drowned. And the other mouse struggled and struggled and thrashed and splashed and struggled until all the cream had been churned into butter, and he just stepped out of the bowl. Sometimes the struggle is the solution. As the old Japanese proverb says, fall down 7 times, get up 8 times. It really is a privilege for me to have shared your great day with you, in many cases again. Thank you for your inspiration to me. As one of my heroes, David Bowie, said, I don't know where I'm going from here, but I promise it won't be boring. And I'm sure that can be the same could be said for you too. Be creative, dream big, be kind, and never, never give up. I wish you all happiness and good fortune in everything you do. I officially declare this graduation closed.
Thank you.